Gay programming.
Hey there, boys and girls and everything in between. Welcome, one and all, to another episode of Gay Programming, hosted by your girl, Marcie, aka Femme Marks, and her boy, Merlin Kirby. We're here on Saturday. We switched up our recording schedule. No longer are we fucking dreadful Monday fucking girls shit. Yeah, we're not that no more. We're doing it on a Saturday. That's right, the coolest day of the week, where everybody has this moment of peace and beauty revealed to them. And in our form, we give you this podcast. So welcome. Say hi, Merlin.
Hello.
Yeah, you didn't say hi because I was
Because you just kept talking, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
I opened my mouth to, and you just kept going.
You need to cut me off. You need to cut me off more. You need to be like, stop! And like find the periods that I have throughout my sentences.
You don't. You just keep going.
Good job. You're learning. Fuck yeah, you got in. It's quick. It's like a Chinese train station. You gotta be on your fucking guard at all times because you might miss that fucking bullet train and it ain't coming back until 60 minutes from now. But yeah, hey, we got ourselves a little bit of a two-parter episode. We picked two topics that both of us were kind of feeling like talking about. And as always, I thought it'd be a good start to have Merlin start off with his topic today, which is, drumroll.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about masturbation, self-pleasure, solo sex, whatever you want to call it.
Ooh, yeah. This is going to be another sexy episode, everybody.
Aren't they all sexy episodes?
Better lower down the blinds. Close out any light from the outside world or any possibility from other people seeing you naked on your leather couch, jerking it to this podcast, listening about masturbation facts. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first gay programming game show. Our contestant is the lovely Marcie.
What's up? I'm here representing Portland, Oregon!
Yeah, so I have 4 facts about masturbation from Instagram, Rhea Health. Check them out. So you ready to get to the first one? I'm just going to read the fact that you tell me whether you knew it or not, what you think of it, are you surprised? It's not really a game show, you're not going to win anything.
So this is, you've lied to our audience.
I have.
You've made me tediously edit this.
Redefining the word game show.
You've tediously made me edit this entire segment to sound like a game show, and I'm very proud of it. Now that's all gone to shit, because it's not even a game show. So cut the music. Cut all the jingles, all the fucking fun little bits that I added. This is not what we said it was. So why now we're just gonna have a lone Merlin, alone with no audio effects. Take the floor, Mr. Game Show host.
The first fact, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
That masturbation strengthens the pelvic floor muscles from contractions from orgasming, and it can help with incontinence.
Oh, what's incontinence?
When you can't hold your pee.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I figured, yeah, because you're doing a lot of things when you're masturbating. It's a workout sometimes. I mean, I guess not for everybody. I mean, some people I've heard are just like, just as soon as they start. But me personally, I need a good, solid 3 to 5 minutes maybe, and that's if I'm lucky,
Well, that actually is related to a later fact that I will.
Okay, ooh.
Foreshadowing. All right, you ready for fact number 2?
Yeah, I'm ready for fact number 2. I didn't know that first one. I guess I kind of knew, but I would never
conceptualize it.
I would never be like, yo, yeah, my pelvic shit is strong as fuck.
Well, you know about the pelvic floor strengthening exercises, right?
No.
I do.
Well, what are they?
I am not completely clear. I know some of them for people with vaginas is you have these weighted balls and you sit in a certain position and you insert them and they just kind of sit on your pelvic floor and you have to use the muscles to hold it up and then you get it out somehow. That's probably not a very good explanation, but it's something vaguely along those lines.
I mean, the closest equivalent I know to something like that is when guys jelk. Do you know what that is?
No.
Jelking is a ludicrous mumbo jumbo magic that men believe in, where if you're in the shower and you want to increase the size of your pee-pee, you just take like a wet towel or stuff or something like that kind of consistency, and you take it on your dick and you keep like stretching it out and just like pulling it. And essentially the idea is that with constant jelking, what would be the word? Discipline. With jelking discipline, you'll be able to increase the size of your pee-pee so women don't laugh at it no more.
And do you have any personal experience with this?
I definitely rubbed a towel on my dick when I was in the shower, but it was not for the jelking purpose. It was just like, ooh, this feels good.
Does it have to be a towel? Can you just yank on your dick?
I think so, yeah. I think you can also, I think some practicers of the jelking arts sometimes practice with just hands. Some have towel methods. It's a whole big thing. I didn't bring my research on this, so unfortunately I'm not very prepared.
Next episode?
Maybe we'll have a whole episode about like a Ken Burns style podcast about the art of joking.
I mean, it would be a good episode to talk about like the weird obsession with penis length and all that shit.
Yeah, but that's not what we're here.
Today.
That's not today, because we're doing facts. So the first one I did not know, but the second one I might. The second fact. Go ahead.
I already shared it. It's that it strengthens the pelvic floor. Or no. Oh. Can we cut that out?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Alright, the second fact. Helps with menstrual cramps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a vagina, so...
Well, did you know that it helped with menstrual cramps?
No, I guess I did not know that. I don't like to learn anything about the vagina. It just kind of grosses me. I'm assuming there are bats somewhere in it.
I did know that fact. I have never really tried it, though, because I know there's some people, like, because, due to hormone fluctuations and stuff, a lot of people on their period feel way more horny. I get that, but I also felt way more...
I knew that fact, that some people get really horned up during their period.
I experienced more arousal, but I also experienced more feeling gross and wanting nothing to do with myself. So... I
mean, that's kind of... I
was personally not a big period sex fan, but I'm all for it for people who like it. I
don't really mind it. That was my whole thing with... Whenever, I had a partner and they were having period time and all that was, period time.
Yeah, period time.
But, when that whole funk's happening, like, I mean, we did it, and I guess I would say we were more preferring not to, simply because of the fact of, like, that shit is hard to get off sheets. Mm-hmm. But...
Carpet cleaner.
Yeah, and it also smells bad too sometimes, but
sometimes.
Yeah, but anyways, but yeah, I mean it totally happened, and I don't like just don't suck anything down there, just.
I mean, no, like period.
Unless you're into blood, I don't know.
I mean, it is like it's not as gross as people think it is. It's just blood, but like. Yeah, personally, just with the cramps and just the general I was just like, that is the last thing I want to do right now. Mm-hmm. But no, there are a lot of people who say period sex is better than non-period sex, and I'm like,
I will say it has its benefits because
I
of
can
lubrication.
Imagine. Yeah,
that purely is.
Yeah, like I've had it and I've enjoyed it, but like, you know. Anyway, fact number 3, ready?
Fact number 3. So yeah, I guess I didn't know that. Yeah, the second fact I didn't know. Yeah.
Damn.
2 I didn't know. I'm fucking dumb as shit.
We're halfway through.
The Florida education system is showing cracks.
Yeah. Alright, so this is the fact that I alluded to earlier. The average masturbation time is 8 minutes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't know specifically 8 minutes, but yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I totally believe that. That's, yeah.
I was kind of surprised. I thought it would take people longer. I mean, I guess it depends.
Well, I mean, is it 8 minutes? Is that just general everybody, or is that just men? Well, I should say men and people with penises.
No, it's just general 8 minutes, and maybe because they're not saying 8 minutes to orgasm or anything, just 8 minutes, and then they kind of stop for whatever reason. I was kind of surprised. Yeah, I thought it would be much longer.
I would actually be interested to find out how many. I mean, I don't even know how you would get people to say this or even admit it, or even know it, but how many people climax at the end of masturbation? Like how many people just masturbate for the sake of masturbation? Or I mean, there's definitely out there.
Yeah.
But versus that, or if it's 8 minutes, but 8 minutes. I buy that. That totally makes sense.
All right, and our last fact. I wish I had so many more, but our last one is 47% of vulva owners have had their first orgasm via masturbation.
I buy that.
Yeah.
I know none of these facts, medically speaking,
but
So I guess I would say out of all of those, I knew one. I knew one.
Yeah, you could definitely say, maybe I would count, did you know 47% exactly? No, but, around that number, could you guess correctly? Yeah.
So what was the last fact again?
That 47% of people with vulvas had their first orgasm by masturbation.
Yeah, I mean, I that makes sense, but I didn't know that. So, I guess I would say 2 out of the 5?
4.
2 out of 4. So that's
halfway.
That's halfway. That's C. That's a C, buddy.
Good job, baby.
Might be a C minus because I didn't get all the detail. I didn't show my work, but But I got the answer.
Yeah. Which one were you most surprised by, if any?
I guess. Can I see them? Real quick?
Top 4. I have them written down, so I didn't forget any.
I guess helps with menstrual cramps.
Oh, that one surprised you the most?
A little surprising. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised by that because, menstruation is usually uncomfortable and, a sudden rush of dopamine helps. So, yeah.
Did you know that working out also helps with menstrual cramps?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I imagine it's just kind of the same thing. But again, in my personal experience, both of those activities when I was menstruating was nope, I don't want to do either of those. I just want to lie down, be miserable, which some people are like that. And some people are no, I'm going to work out and masturbate and completely have it just fine. But to be fair, when they did my hysterectomy, they found a lot of cysts on my fallopian tubes. So maybe I had it a little rough, but
Yeah, you're a crazed case.
I wouldn't say that. A lot of people. It's actually very common. So I had more of a pointed question just to kind of further the conversation. So I wanted to talk about masturbation in a mental health sense or its effects on mental health. Do you have any thoughts on that, for better or for worse?
I think definitely, there's a big, because, pornography is a form of media, and with every form of media, especially one that is very, intentionally very crass because of fucking obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And especially involving with masturbation, too. It's kind of weird how I'm, instantly going to pornography just because we're talking about masturbation, but I think...
Oh, yeah, very telling.
But I think it goes hand in hand, more often than not, especially in this modern conversation, and especially now, how do most people masturbate? It's usually in company with some kind of pornography.
Yeah, and the fact that there's feminist porn and very not there's a big spectrum of options.
There's a huge market out there with a bunch of cool creators not doing shitty things that porn is normally transcribed with.
Yeah.
But definitely getting back to the point of mental health in conjunction with masturbation and things like porn. I definitely think in the conjunction of masturbation as itself, that is without a doubt something that can help people. I mean, like, just the sexual release of that, like, helps with stress. It helps with anxiety. I mean, like, there's so many, like, a great ocean of, like, benefits that, medical benefits and mental benefits that come with masturbation. I would say, however, the thing that kind of makes things a little bit tedious in masturbation comes with, unfortunately, in conjunction with things like porn, because that's when the debate kind of gets a little bit more nuanced. As like, what? Okay, so yeah, masturbation is good for you, but how you facilitate this could be potentially problematic, either by consuming content that creates a really like absurd sexual reality that is not real, like a pseudo understanding of sexuality, or just like an outright depression because you can't, like, there's like so many different ways of saying it, but more often than not that they can't live up to the pseudo sexual world that they've created with the media that they have consumed in their masturbation habits.
Or even just like internal pressure of like, because, and my next question for both of us is going to dive into this a little more, but I didn't masturbate for a really long time because I guess I didn't know you could do it just to do it. And I was like, no, I need to orgasm. I need to orgasm in this amount of time and in this way and from doing this activity and this. And it got to the point where I was like, man, I'd rather just not fucking do it altogether because I'm imposing so much upon myself that I like didn't. I was like, no, I would literally rather just be sexually frustrated and like not consider it. So yeah, no, like definitely those kind of like weird pressures that can come with it, rather than, as most things, it does get back to just being yourself, which sounds so cheesy, but
and I guess maybe, and feel free, don't elaborate if you don't, but like what do you think kind of led you, like what train of thought led you to think like, okay, I don't want to masturbate anymore because it makes me uncomfortable because of X, Y, and Z?
Good question. So much. I think it was an amalgamation of a lot of things. I think I had this weird, like, purity culture idea in my brain. And I thought that for whatever reason, like, I had kind of a problematic relationship with somebody who liked me in the sense that I was very innocent and very, whatever. So I kind of thought that my not masturbating and not being in control of my own sexual pleasure and instead getting 100% of my pleasure from this person and being 100% dependent on this person for my orgasms made me more desirable. And I kind of carried that mentality with other partners. So yeah, I guess I just literally thought it made me more desirable to not masturbate, and unfortunately, my desirability to other people for a lot of years was very high on my priority list, to the point where I would sacrifice my mental health. And that was another one of my questions, was going to be like, when did you start masturbating? Do you want to talk about it or normalize different experiences? And I didn't start until I was 20 years old. And I'm 20 years old now. So
yeah, I forced him. I was like, I threw a vibrator on the bed, and I was like, get to it, come on, it's been long enough.
Yeah, I probably would have benefited from that a few years ago.
Yeah, so yeah, 20. That's great. I mean, I started masturbating. I mean, it's been so long. I've had such a long career, and it's hard to even remember where it all started, I mean, I must have been like, I want to say like, the youngest I could have possibly have been was 8.
Really?
And the oldest I could have possibly have been was like 10, 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming you started masturbating before you started having sex?
Oh, yeah. Easy.
Yeah,
I know that for a fact. Yeah.
interesting, because I did not. So it's this very, like, interesting comparison, I guess, of, like, the blooming relationship with your body and your pleasure. Because, like, I don't know. In your case, you were the first person to see how your body responds to things. And in my case, I was not. So I think it took me. I mean, I don't know. Would you say that you have. Do you think that kind of difference uh, led you to maybe have like a better sense of ownership of your body? Or because I know obviously with being trans that can really kind of fuck that one up a bit, but
I think my relation with masturbation, my personal sexuality, is definitely one in conjunction, kind of telling with how I started with, like, bringing up pornography when we're talking about it. Because it was, like, that was, I started masturbating because, like, I even, like, kind of figured out what masturbation was because I saw a porn clip and then I saw that the guy, like, had this pee. I thought this white pee coming out of their pee pee, and I was like, oh, I wonder, like, can I do that? And like I literally like tugged my little thing, and out came the white stuff for the first time, and yeah, I mean that was I think definitely with that time it definitely helped me for better or worse, and I do think there were some kind of positives to it of building kind of an understanding of my own sexuality in an individual private sense.
oh yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I basically was so I did definitely, like, that was where I kind of first kind of was understanding, like, S&M culture and what S&M was, and sub-dom play, and cross-dressing too, and that got into me seeing the first trans people I ever would see, and it was in pornography. So I definitely think it helped me kind of be able to build in safety this individual understanding of my sexuality and what I wanted and what I kind of desired, and even if I wasn't comfortable enough to bring that out into the outside. Because I do think the negative of that was that I attributed all these things that could have been very natural and could have been fostered much more efficiently, I guess, if it were handled in a more open atmosphere than, me sneaking onto the computer and going like, oh, what can I find? Just like, in that kind of extent. So I definitely think there was, like, a problem, and I'm still struggling with it today, where, the sexuality that I developed personally does not always align with the sexuality that others wanted to see out of me, or, just kind of naturally came.
I know how that feels. Yeah, I get that.
So, yeah, I definitely, so even now, like, even though I am someone who kind of prefers being more submissive and being, on the receiving end, or whatever you want to call it, I do find myself but often finding myself very uncomfortable to, like, mold into those situations, or not even mold, but, like, comfortably fall into those situations and just, like, let it happen. And I often find myself, like, kind of pushing that away in place of what I think is comfortable and what I've established over, like, the norm of society and my interactions with, like, early sexuality between actual people.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like, what do you think taught you with that kind of relation where you're, like, experiencing sexuality from a person first, and then finding this privacy to kind of explore yourself later in life?
Yeah, well, like a lot of things about me, I kind of started to learn more about the sexiness of claiming your own sexuality and not having your sexuality be nothing more than an extent of somebody else's sexuality. Through, like, activism spaces and sex positive environments with, a new friend group I had made where everyone was trans, everyone was sex positive, And the way people just talked about like their own desires and habits, and who doesn't wear underwear because they don't like it, and who doesn't shave their pubes, and like all this stuff, and being like, damn, these people really form these opinions for themselves, and they don't just do what their partner's preference is. And also around that same time that I started hanging out with these people, I actually broke up with that partner. So I was single now, and it kind of gave me time to like step back, I guess, because that source, you could call it, was gone. So it was like, oh damn, I am not sexting right now. I am fantasizing by myself. So seeing where those fantasies went on my own was really interesting, because they were not the same, since I wasn't fantasizing about that person anymore. So I think that is really like one of the biggest things that I learned. And also just when I see people who really kind of claim their own sexuality very proudly, very happily, it's really inspiring to me. And that's kind of what I hope to be for others now. So that kind of motivation of like, oh, somebody just living their best life helped me live my best life. Maybe I can continue that domino effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, like it took me a lot of years to unlearn a lot of stuff that I had learned from, because yeah, even down to like, okay, can you imagine as a vagina owner learning about your vagina from a cis man? Can you imagine?
I can imagine as a trans person learning about sexuality from cis people all my life.
Yeah, no, like that, it's just, yeah. So I had to unlearn a lot, is where I'm gonna leave that one.
Yeah, and I think definitely that's a very true story, not just of really just all trans people, but just kind of most people in their relationship with sexuality. So yeah, I think this was pretty dope, talking about our kind of relationship.
I think I really like kind of talking about these more intimate things on the podcast, and not even intimate as in sexual, but as in personal.
Yeah.
Because it helps me see, more things about you that I don't know if we would have had this conversation normally. I mean, we probably would have eventually, but...
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about jacking it all the time in this house. It's like, it's that and Ron DeSantis memes. Those are our only two conversation points.
Those do make up a large portion of our life. So, let's think of one last question to fire off. One little silly one to end on a good note with this half.
You want to do a JO session right now? You want to do it like,
no.
We're gonna shift between topics. So like maybe in this music interlude, let's just like jack off together. Okay.
No.
I'm just gonna start.
Yeah,
Oh God. Merlin, of course, got his head in the sheets, like all the time. He's definitely the Blanche Devereaux of this whole organization.
I don't think I am.
Definitely falling up into that. But me, I'm a real fucking Sophia Petrillo. I'm looking at the big map. I'm looking at the...
Yeah, because you're a little old lady.
Yeah, I'm a little old lady looking at the big fucking picture. Seeing at all the fucking signs. So, my trans femme energy has accumulated into hyper levels of hyperfixation, into a new little topic that I have that I'm sure everyone is kind of familiar with. But, in this kind of like hurricane news cycle environment, with wars happening, fucking FBI raids happening, just crazy amounts of stuff. A lot of people can forget about other big news that is happening that can be maybe not as explosive, doesn't have any gunfights yet, maybe in the future, but not yet. But something that I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, because I saw a few commercials about this that kind of made me want to discuss a little bit about this on the podcast, and maybe you, Merlin, might have some interesting thoughts about the information that I found. But I am talking about Meta, which is, if you don't know, how could you not? A lot of people have at least heard about this, but Facebook has now rebranded itself, or it has for a while, into a new company called Meta. This was happening, probably like 9 months ago when this was like really starting to launch. And, basically everyone who has heard about this has two thoughts. What the fuck is the Meta? And why am I always terrified every time I hear new information about the Meta? And there's probably good reason. Okay, so, I guess disclaimer before we move too much past this. I am a dumb woman. I am a big old bimbo. I am not an educated woman at all. I do not hyperfixate on articles every single day. I am not constantly in the news cycle. I am definitely not a tech nerd whatsoever. But one thing that I do possess is a associate's degree in digital cinema. And that is quite important to this topic because I just think it's kind of interesting how the Meta has been portrayed and the kind of theatrics that are involved, because this really feels like the biggest ploy for a cinematic universe to try and advertise something they're trying to desperately convince you is real, and not just real, but the future is the greatest thing. So I'm going to open up to a little bit, because I don't want this just be me ranting all the time. So I'm going to ask you, Merlin, how much do you know about the Meta? What do you know about this?
More than I want.
Well, like, what do you, like, give us the gist of what you understand about it.
I don't know, like, whatever Facebook and Instagram's, like, parent company is, I guess, like, whatever, like, that's just what it is now. They suck, like, that's...
It's basically just Facebook. So if you hated Facebook, Meta is the same fucking news. It's Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Just with a new name.
Yeah.
But I find it very interesting, again, from the performance of everything. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about some videos that I pulled from the Meta YouTube channel, which is so fucking filled with some of the most cursed dystopian future telling videos I've ever seen. But I definitely wanted to talk about some of them and discuss them here on the podcast.
I did just remember something. Didn't they, like, provide, like, transcripts of chats to, like, cops and get people arrested?
They have been working, like, Facebook has been working, and Meta, as thus, has been working with governments and police forces to basically use the information that they collect, because, again, that's the only resource they have
I know, like,
offer.
a lot of... I can't say a lot, I guess. I don't know exactly how many, but I know, like, some anti-fascist people got, like, kind of screwed up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's definitely been, like, there's a reason why, like, everyone encourages everyone to not use Messenger anymore, because guess who fucking owns that?
Yeah.
Ayo, it's pale-faced Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I guess that's, like, the other one little bit I know, is that they're not very friendly to leftists.
Yeah, and, They're not really friendly to anyone, but they desperately want you to think they're super friendly.
Yeah.
So the first video that I wanted to talk about is the first launch video that was released 9 months ago, and it was called "Introducing Meta." This is probably one of the most viewed video on the Meta YouTube channel. It's got, like, I think 14 million views, and most people, I think, have seen this, so I'm going to go kind of a little bit very quickly over this. But essentially this video, I think it's 4 minutes or something like that, is kind of Mark's pitch on the new face of the company and what exactly it's going to be and what is Meta and what are we trying to do. And he starts with this quote. And I'm curious what you think about this, but this is the quote in the Introducing Meta. One of the reasons I started Facebook was that at the time, you could use the internet to find almost anything, except for the thing that matters most: people. And what do you think about that? What do you think about that quote?
Oh my god. It's it's so I'm speechless.
Yeah,
I'm truly speechless.
like he if one thing is that Mark and all the Facebook writing staff is exceptional at writing neoliberal
It's just
shit
it's
that
so,
means nothing.
Yeah, it's so empty.
Yeah.
Also, didn't he start Facebook as like some bullshit incel behavior?
Well, no, basically first off he stole the idea, but he basically the original idea of Facebook was to be like a college dating service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first of all, wrong.
Yeah, but
I mean, I guess you could, but it's just dumb. That's what I think.
But it's definitely a quote, and this whole video is definitely like interesting and like kind of dissecting because of what Mark views Facebook as, and really what Facebook is as like a business model and a brand.
Yeah.
And that essentially because this has always been a very interesting topic between like materialist economics, like people. But essentially the phenomenon of like social media platforms, in particular being Facebook, that these are services that and corporations that don't produce anything, don't really do anything. The only thing that they have that could be considered value is unprecedented in the discussion of value is interaction. Things happening that could have happened in one-on-one interactions are happening on your desktop, on Facebook, with social interactions for the Facebook page that we create. So basically, if you're unfamiliar, if you don't really get what Meta is, Meta, and this bit in introducing Meta kind of goes over this, and he has a telling line where basically he goes like, let's see. I guess I didn't say it, but maybe I'll add it. But, he basically is like drawing the conjunction that our future, the flying car in this reality that we're trying to paint for you, this potential reality, is that the future doesn't lie in personal innovation on the ground floor. No. This world here, it's donezo. It's gone. But you know what's going to be the future? Strapping a fucking phone to your head and going into, like, Xbox Connect rooms.
Yeah, this literally just sounds like WALL-E. Like, this is just the plot of WALL-E.
Yeah, no, it honestly, in a lot of ways, is like, I'm sure, like, Mark saw WALL-E and was like, that's a great idea.
Yeah, he didn't watch it all the way to the end.
Yeah, he's like, no, he did watch it, and he was like, this is a tragedy. Why did they leave the ship? The hero was the owl at 3000 wheel.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so, he brings up a few different points in here, but one thing, too, that I find kind of interesting in this whole discussion of the metaverse and meta and what exactly it is this topic that Mark brings up in the video about a creative economy. And this is pretty present in all the other marketing material that you can see about Meta, is about how this is going to revolutionize artists and like their market and how they make money, and that it's going to be the greatest thing. It's honestly kind of like an early prelude to the eventual NFT thing, because I think even the metaverse was a little bit before like Concerned Ape really hit the fucking scene. But yeah, this is like, and a lot of the advertisement you just see like, everyone loves that one thing from like when he's like flying around the like islands and stuff like that. But he's like, whoa, this art piece is really cool. If we just hold this, we can actually give them money so we can still see the art. It's basically just trying to push the inevitable like cogs of like what a like post-capitalist society, like a late-stage capitalism society, like kind of looks like.
Right.
Where basically it's not about producing anything. It's all about like how do we make everyone into influencers?
Yeah.
How do we make everyone into YouTube Let's Players? And this is kind of their extent. And there's going to be some other stuff I'm going to talk about concerning the quote unquote creative economy. But yeah, that's really kind of that video of all I wanted to kind of talk about. What I really wanted to talk about was 3 advertisements that they have recently pushed out. And I think are kind of really interesting and kind of the advertisement plan of this. Because, usually when for those who are unaware, when you want to make a marketing plan, usually you pick one thing. You pick like got milk. And you're like, okay, that's
Right.
the ad campaign. We're going to stick with that. We're going to paste it everywhere. But you see, when something's stupid and doesn't work or like is a lie, you have to kind of tackle the marketing plan from every possible avenue. And that's kind of what the Meta has done. They've essentially taken every possible advertisement ploy they could possibly think of, and they're trying to throw it at people. The first one that I wanted to talk about was a little classic advertisement. It's about 16 seconds long. Some of you might have been seeing it because I think they're starting to like paste it everywhere on like YouTube advertisement. But it's called a little advertisement called Fishing with Dad. So I'll lay this out for you. It's basically it almost feels like a Pixar film. They literally got the piano ballad in the background. I'm like half expecting like Randy Newman to just come out and be like, "You got a friend in me." Yeah, you hear that, and it tells us the quick story of a father who lives in St. Louis and a daughter who lives in California. And they're sad that they can't get to see each other like most people are. Most family members who live that kind of far distance will understand. So what's the solution? Well, of course, Meta provides the solution. Like Mark lays out in the intro to the Meta, that they will be the solution to all potential future casualties and will be the responsible issuer of happiness and progress. And in this instance, they lay out how they're going to help these 2 distant parents. Not distant parents. These daughter and father who are distant from each other. And they have the ability to strap on the Meta Quest, which is their VR headset. And they get to strap that on with the 2 remote controls, and they get to have a little me fishing. It looks like Wii fishing, literally. And they're just strolling out, and they're like, yeah, it's like we can be doing something together. And now I'm gonna have a question game for you, Merlin.
Yeah.
Instead, do you believe that the only way to interact with your family would since your dad, you don't live, you talk with your dad frequently, instead of like watching a movie together, how would you feel about both of you strapping on VR headsets and fishing in a virtual reality that looks like a desktop background from like a Microsoft 1996?
First of all, maybe this will be different in 40 years. I don't know if my dad understands the concept of virtual reality.
But he will. That's what Meta's about. It's for everyone.
Let alone, figure out a fucking headset by himself. My dad is, 80 years old. Alright. Second of all, look, there's something to be said for, I know a lot of long-distance relationships play video games together. So, sure. However, as a replacement, absolutely not. And especially, no. It's just, I'm assuming, too, no. It's
because it literally almost seems, from how it's advertised and how I see it in practice with every time I see it used, is that it's literally what if we made Skype on your head. And you strapped it on your head.
And it's just
like, why can't you do that in any other more comfortable way? Like, because again, with your example, like, there's plenty of video games that offer multiplayer access, like over distance, and you have a Discord room where you can just chat. And like, I feel like you would have infinitely more fun there than with the shittiest looking mini game of fishing. Like it looks like shit too.
Yeah, and how many hours can you do that for? Because with a video game, you're doing new quests, you're leveling up, you're like whatever. And I know they're not coming out like we're the new video game, whatever. But like
they kind of are though.
Yeah, and like
they're not even saying they're video game. They're saying like this is the new way of facilitating life. This is how you're going to interact with all your friends and family.
How many hours can you do that goofy little fishing headset before you're like, love you, but I'm bored out of my mind. And I would rather talk on the phone.
I've never worn a VR. Well, I guess there was one time when I was at, what was that called? Like Disney Quest, that video game arcade place where there was like kind of a ruddy-ass early VR. But, I've never had, like, modern VR, like, especially the new one with, like, the bulky headset on your head. But just looking at the thing, I just fucking know I wouldn't want to wear it more than, like, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'm done.
To very much be that person, are we not going to talk about the accessibility issues of a lot of VR stuff? Like, I'm already thinking motion sickness, like, all this bullshit.
Yeah, but it's...
psychosis even, like, I can imagine it being very triggering or, like, weird.
It's kind of like, and in this instance, it's more like it's showing the kind of present use of like VR in general, but also like the metaverse and their meta world or whatever they want to call it. Is because like no, I think they're fully aware that no one wants to be in this more than like 12 minutes because you know, like why would you?
Right.
It's just like it's not accessible right now for like long-term use.
Yeah.
So I think with this advertisement in particular, it's trying to show the wholesome side of like what we can do now. Like, yeah, you see this daughter and this father can have a moment in our universe that we've created where you're floating top bodies with no legs, and it's peaceful, and you feel like you're gonna do like, you know, you feel like you're close to your family or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, Pop doesn't want to kill himself no more. But they basically released that ad with what the other side of the story they really want to push. The thing they really want people to buy more than the sappy fucking Pixar fishing with dad story. And it comes from a trailer called The Impact Will Be Real. So this is like a 180 from the previous trailer. This is like sleek. It's highly produced. It's got digital effects out the ass. It's like it's like, you know, it's the trailer that the game company releases that has no actual gameplay in it.
Oh yeah.
But this is like, you know, their pitch of like what the future for the meta is. And the first couple of things that I think that this ad is really kind of interesting because it's really trying to push hard that this is going to be better.
Right.
This is shit. They use no footage of actual meta like they'd use in the previous one.
That's weird. So they're almost trying to get you to like bank into it on the potential of what it could be rather than what it is right now.
Absolutely, 100%. In fact, they're trying to make you bank on the ludicrous shit. The ludicrous shit that they're suggesting is going to happen. And this shit is like real. The impact will be real. Like brings a lot of this stuff of what like they really want. So first off, they show a completely fictionalized redesign of the MetaQuest headset, where it's like super sleek.
Yeah.
It's like it almost. What do they call those things where you have it like over your eyes when you sleep?
Sleep mask.
Yeah, like you have. It's like it looks like a cyberpunk sleep mask that they have. And there's no controllers. There's no like head controller awkward fucking things anymore in this. So it's just literally a guy like shifting it on and then he's like transported to a new world, and it's like highly res.
And that's not even what it is right now.
No. Again, it looks like did you ever see with like the Miis from like the Wii generation?
Yeah.
Like imagine those, but then take off the bottom part of their legs and they're just kind of like floating bodies.
Yeah.
And there's like awkward like hand like and it's like supposed to like read your eyes essentially, but always like bugs out, so like your fucking thing is like just freaking out.
The audacity of like, look what we could be and participate in that, and not the evidence.
Buy into that. And they make some pretty wild fucking statements in this. First off, the first statement they make is that is like the guy who puts on the cyberpunk sleep mask. He gets transported to a lecture hall, and they're like, "This is the future. In the future, lecture halls, they will not be physical places. They will be lines of code that we will all be in. There will be no more universities. They will all be in the metaverse."
Which, as a current online college student, I can tell you right now, as little fun as possible. I can't even get an email from my teacher in, like, the end of the week. Like, you think I'm gonna join a glamorized Zoom call with them?
Now, Merlin, in the meta, you can go up to your professor and talk to them as you're a giant anthropomorphic fox or something like that.
Oh my god, yeah, no, like, you think schools are gonna... First of all, the way schools have pride in their, like, this building has been around since before the fucking sun. Like, you think they're gonna get rid of that? Absolutely not. That's, like, their claim to fame.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm elaborating on this point probably way more than you intended, but
well, yeah, no,
it's so stupid.
It actually, no. I actually want to kind of go a little bit more into, because that kind of relates to my, like, connection and just kind of, like, asking, like, what the fuck is like, this idea, because this is pretty present in the metaverse, like, PR campaign.
Right.
That they're, like, the next evolution of life is moving to the internet, essentially. And they're, like, eschewing of, like, brick and mortar places.
Which, like, do people even want that? I know a lot of people who would feel pretty lonely and disconnected.
Well, that's one thing, too. But, like, even just, like, well, then where the fuck do people go?
Yeah.
Like, you need these... You can't just be like, oh, you have a medical concern? Well, just put on your VR headset and go to the virtual reality hospital.
I can see that, though, because, like, you know, people are doing fucking... grocery delivery, food delivery, you know, we're streaming instead of going to movies, we're doing telehealth instead of going to the doctor, Zoom calls instead of hanging out. Like, I can see that happening, but I can also see everybody getting increasingly disgruntled, lonely, feeling disconnected, because evolution-wise, that is not what humans did. Like, we're not supposed to be this online.
Yeah, it's
not to sound like a boomer, but...
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's definitely, like, this idea where, like, we're definitely in this point where, like, people realize things need to change. This is not sustainable. We need, like, a revolution of some kind.
But then there is Mark Zuckerberg, who's like, I'm gonna profit off of this, though.
Well, it's not even, like, Mark Zuckerberg is even more insidious, that he's like, yeah, I'm gonna make money off of this, but also, I have good boy points, and with my code, I will solve the world's problems by developing an app. I will be God.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely, like, you're totally right. There's a lot of people, really powerful people, that definitely see the sexiness and allure of an idea like the metaverse. Because that just, like, the amount of power and just, like, godlike ability that you would have if you made everyone's reality literally whatever's shown in front of the screens that we have glued to their fucking eyes.
Yeah.
It's literally the sexiest idea dystopian tyrant would like. It's, you can't write something that good.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, like, you know, kind of moving on too with you know, they're bringing on, like, with how this is going to revolutionize, and not just, like, you know, these lecture halls are going to be pieces of code, but they're also saying that like this is going to help medical communities now. It's basically the doctor is going to be wearing the headset and they're going to perform a hypothetical surgery with graphics with the Unreal Engine, and they will make make the surgery so they can practice before the surgery happens, and like.
Someone
Which I don't
know
even
how
think
medical school works.
That makes no sense.
Especially, like, there are, granted, obviously not all, but, like, there are a lot of surgeries, like, even my hysterectomy, which was kind of done by robots already. Like,
yeah,
if we're going into technical advancement of the medical community, surgeons are probably just going to become, like, directors of robots at some point.
One thing you'll really notice a lot, especially with the meta, is every time they say this is something new, and they say something like, oh, we can do this, or we're planning to do this, like, after you, like, wipe away the clear PR word choice of everything, and you actually understand what they're saying they're doing, you're like, that's already a thing.
Yeah.
That already exists. Like, Skype and, like, video, like, communication, that's already a thing. Like, VR, digital, like, online spaces, that's already been a thing and already a thing. And in fact, there are other places that are doing it way better than you, and you're saying you're, like, the revolution of it.
Yeah.
There's just, like, it's consistently, like, hucksters and just pulling the wool. It's taken like every page out of like Tesla's playbook of how to convince stupid people that they're like changing the world.
Man, it's all the shit like this that makes me want to buy a flip phone and go live out in the middle of the nowhere on a farm. Like, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like as a Gen Z individual, I have such a weird relationship with technology. And maybe it is kind of just me, but I do feel like a lot of people feel the same. Because, like, you're not much older than me. So, like, you also grew up with technology in a pretty heavy extent. But, I mean, because, like, when was your first smartphone?
Just my first smartphone was probably, like, early high school.
Yeah, and I think mine, I was, like, 11. So, like, very formative brain now with unrestricted, like, internet access, not even just on the computer, but in the palm of your fucking hand.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's, like, so much is happening to all of our brains. And I don't know, I'm one of those people who think there's a great, technology's great, technology's beautiful, it's allowed all of us to do so many things. However, though, I think there's a lot of irresponsibility in the name of profit, which is kind of everything in capitalism, but, like, I don't know. Well,
just kind of building off of your point, I think definitely in the issue of discussion of, like, technology, I think that, I don't know what word would that be, but that, like, disillusionment that you have over, like, technology isn't even really necessarily on the technology itself. It's how that technology is implemented and used by companies that produce it in order to just make, because, like, no one can really objectively debate to me that, like, having a information database that you can access any piece of information on a moment's will is useful. That's a useful bit of technology. But what isn't, but it's so useful that basically malicious people have understood how useful that is and how they can use that to basically mind fuck people or just take advantage of market sources to profit off of misfortune.
Yeah, like, I remember watching a video. I don't remember who made it or what it was called or anything, unfortunately, but it was about, like, the problems with the endless streams of content and how there's even content out there about how to take in less content, and, like, how all of these companies like social media or YouTube, they're profiting more the longer you're on them and the more often you're on them. So obviously it's in their best interest to, like, fuck around with their interface and their AI and their recommended posts and formats and everything to keep you on there as long as possible, even to your detriment, so you end up doom scrolling for 6 hours. And like, I think about that stuff and I just get so like, oh my god, and I want to like detach myself completely, but like you can't, because like I literally need an app on my smartphone to clock in and out of work. Like,
yeah, I mean,
couldn't even if I wanted to.
These...
And that's like, to me, sorry to keep going,
no,
but that's
no.
like the really kind of scary part about it.
Yeah, I mean, these tech companies have definitely, and then Meta is a really good like symbol of like the next kind of step in that,
Yeah.
of this like complete domination of tech, like in people's lives, and like not even to help them necessarily, and more often than not, definitely not to help them. It's always to help commerce, help the people who are in a, you know, again, every bit of Meta is always about how this is going to revolutionize commerce and the creative economy that Mark Zuckerberg is creating. The funniest thing that I wanted to bring up about this, the impact will be real, was the last little bit. And also, side little note, they're also really pushing really hard on that medical thing, because they actually took that section of the 30-minute clip and made that clip into its own clip. So, like, to have, like, a second shorter ad for it, to, like, really emphasize, like, hey, this is going to cure COVID, baby. Like, this, or, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the funniest thing that I had is just because the image that was running through my head of after they did this is, of course, not presented how it would actually be seen. But it's like a bunch of kids walking through the Roman Senate of ancient eras, and they see the great senators and politicians and leaders like Julius Caesar, like, in these halls, and they're like debating, and literally the ad has like, no, these kids aren't in ancient Rome. They're in the meta, learning about Thomas Aquinas and his great debates.
Good, now we can teach kids that Thomas Jefferson was good and not a slave owner.
Well, my thing is just, like, laughing at the idea of, like, one of these metaverse, like, hit, like, magic school bus going to the past style fucking things. Seeing how they would actually look in the current state of meta, just seeing these, like, fucking disembodied, like, abdomens floating around, like, fucking freaking out, going into the like the cube coliseum that they have around,
glitching through the walls.
Yeah, it's like one fucking Julius Caesar's doing like a fucking floss dance because one of the kids hacked into the code and like
kids like cheating so that they can take the headset off, but their little body is still there.
It's just like it's just like I mean, we're kind of getting to the repeating ourselves a little bit, but it's just, it's a podcast, so I can't show you these images, of course, but just take my word, like, it just looks awful. The meat, like, you would never want to, like, I can just imagine, like, it would, for me, who doesn't even really get motion sickness with video games like other people do, like, I would be vomiting in that world, like, and just imagining, like, Mark thinking, like, yeah, this is going to be the way people live their life. They're going to have their cyberpunk their cyberpunk sleep thing, and they're going to be in their small cubic apartments sitting with a UV attached to their arm that feeds them gruel, and that's life. That's going to be, we're all in the Matrix now. We're all the Matrix.
Yeah, it literally is just Wall-E.
Yeah.
Like, it's just... And that's the thing, because what's also bizarre to me about it is I feel like we've seen, at least in lots of people, definitely not all, there are some weird Tesla fucking people, but like, I feel like we've seen in a lot of people this desperate crying out for less technology. Like, we're good for now, we want a more, like, quote-unquote natural life. Like, I see a lot of people romanticizing things like cottagecore, or simple acts like making bread without listening to music or a podcast or anything. Like, just life that is not 24/7 imbued with like content media in some way. So for them to go, hey, want more? It just feels so backwards to what a lot of people are saying, but it's gonna work because there are those weird fanatics who just really want Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos to like give them a little kiss on the head. So
Yeah, I mean, because they buy into their PR campaign that they are going to bring us into the future, and guess what the future is? We strapped your desktop with duct tape to your face.
Yeah, like I just.
Well, thank you for listening to this epic, awesome 2-part episode of Gay Programming. We hope you enjoyed, and we're just going to shift our little pitches for things. Gay Programming has an Instagram, a SoundCloud, and soon to be back up and running YouTube, hopefully. Yeah, we upload videos on SoundCloud. We upload episodes on SoundCloud and YouTube. We also have an Instagram where you can see some dank gay memes and also get updated whenever we upload one of these suckers for your fine listening viewership. I also have an Instagram by the name of FemMarks where I do zines and poetry and doodles. And Merlin goes by Angsty Vegan and does lifestyle kind of vlog kind of content. So they're really cool people to check out. That was another episode. Did you enjoy it? I thought it was a pretty banger episode.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. I always enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see you all again real soon, and stay safe out there, folks. See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.